You are listening to Inspired Caring with Michelle Magner, episode number 132. Hello, welcome to Inspired Caring. I'm your host, Michelle Magner. If you are caring for an older family member, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I bring insight, tips, inspiration, and strategies to help you care for the people that you love without losing yourself along the way. Having cared for both of my grandmothers, I've helped manage everything from hospital stays, households full of belongings, to navigating senior living and end-of-life care. And I've worked in senior living as a result of that experience, serving my residents and their families as they've been on this journey too. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Inspired Caring. Well, I'm very excited to have Melissa Fritz with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Michelle.
It's my pleasure. I am fascinated with what you are doing and how you are documenting this piece of the family caregiver journey. I watched the sizzle reel for Inside Senior Living and on your website, and it brought me to tears. It really did, just having gone through this 4 times with different family members. It really struck a chord. There's like the heartache and the smiles. So just share a little bit about your background and what led you to be where you are today.
Thank you. Well, what started this journey, or my background in what started this journey, was having a grandmother with Alzheimer's dementia who spent 8 years in memory care and several years in assisted living before that. And then her son, my father, was diagnosed with early onset dementia. And he was diagnosed at about 66, 67 years of age. And that was after I had started as a senior living consultant. So I had started working in the senior living industry. And then the reality of going through this process myself, trying to help my mother navigate just the plethora of options and questions and finances. And I don't need to explain that to you, and probably most of your listeners can really understand and appreciate what stress that puts on the caregiver and families. So even someone that's not directly caregiving, the surrounding caregivers, so caregivers of caregivers,
The secondary caregivers.
Right. It really affects everyone. So during the height of the COVID pandemic, I was working at the community level, and really, I would go home just distraught about the isolation and what the families were going through, and trying to come up with some sort of materials or videos, something that would be lighthearted but also educational. And I just couldn't find what I was looking for to share with families. And so that set the seed. So that was about 3 years ago, set that seed in motion for me to develop this TV series. And it has been such a wild journey since that very beginning idea that happened during the pandemic. So I think something good came out of the pandemic.
Oh my gosh. I also was in a building at the height of the pandemic. I left in January of 22. It really felt like leaving your team on the front lines in a war zone. We won't get too much into that, but I'm grateful that you took something that was so challenging for families and really worked to fill a hole, like fill a gap with something that is a little bit more lighthearted. Now, in the show, in the sizzle reel, there are definitely some smiles that you are able to capture through the process. So I think that is something that's important for people to hear about, because so often everybody is thinking about the doom and gloom of senior living.
Yes. Well, really the overarching goal of this show is to have a medium, have a television show that will spark those important conversations far before there's a crisis.
Yes.
So and I think I say it in the reel, oftentimes, and if you've worked in communities, you know this, families, and our family included, we wait until we're in or near a crisis. And by doing that, at, we we eliminate a lot of our choices right there.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal of the show is to spark these conversations. Let's start having them now around the Thanksgiving table. It doesn't have to be adversarial, um, because the more information we can disseminate through your podcast, through my show, all of us that are really trying to help um, share the experiences and expertise that we've come to learn, um, uh, the better the general
Yeah.
public will be. So there's definitely the hopeful and the fun, funny scenes, but there's also the reality of
Yeah.
showing how stressful it is for families and caregivers and seniors, and how desperate um, older adults become when you're confronted with really that thought of losing your independence
Right.
and how traumatic that is. And when I was working on at that community level with families, that is one thing that's very important to me, is to honor what does this person really want, and how can we help achieve the maximum independence in the safest way.
Mm.
So oftentimes I think caregivers, we get stuck in this, we need to put mom in senior living, she's having falls, we need to move her tomorrow or next week. And I really encourage families to take a step back. Let's just pause for a moment and look at all the options and really listen to what that listen to what the older adult really is wanting and seeking, and what their fears really are.
So
So
are you within the show actually able to help people find their next home? Are you also helping with that piece of it, or are you documenting other people's journeys?
actually, so this is kind of a unique situation, because right now we are in the process of recruiting 8 family scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
and we are looking for diverse, all different kinds of situations,
Mm-hmm.
different financial levels, different races, religions, everything. So we're really excited about that. And because of my experience and the experts that we've brought on board for the show,
Mm-hmm.
these families are going to get basically a whole team of senior living pros, experts, really leading them along this process. So I'm actually going to be able to guide 8 families in this process like I did at the community level. But the beautiful thing is, there's no limitations put on me. I'm not promoting any certain situation. So I'm not
Yeah.
promoting a senior living community. I'm not promoting home care. I'm not, what I'm doing is truly trying to help each family in their particular situation do the best that they can, and employ all the resources that we can find on the show. And hopefully that will translate for the general public, spark some ideas of um, maybe options that people didn't even think of were possible.
I love this so much. It is so unique. Along the same vein, I took my years of knowledge and caregiving experience, and I created a video series called Illuminating Senior Living. And it's really, again, within the same vein. And I love the approach that you're taking. This is an online video class that people can self-pace and watch at their, consume at their own leisure. I love the emotion that you're able to invoke with actually going into the buildings with the families and sitting down and watching the interactions between the children. Oh, it just gets me choked up just thinking about that, or the spouses, and you're just so able to capture the rawness and the vulnerability of the situation.
Right. So that's really key as well. And why we chose a co-producer and distributor like PBS, and PBS North specifically, is because I was very insistent on really presenting the show. This is the first television show of its kind. So that responsibility I take really serious.
Yeah.
And I want to be the most honoring, but also the most honest. So we are expecting, we are hoping that, we can find those 8 families who are, understand we really need you, and want to do this for the greater good of our society. So it is going to take some pretty brave families to open up their hearts and their emotions and be able to let us capture those moments on camera. But I know that we will find them. I know that there are people, especially now, you see it every day and what you're doing with caregiving. And I just love the perspective that you have on the caregiver, because even being in this business and even with my own father, I realize now how much I personally kind of neglected what my mom was going through as a caregiver, just really the isolation, and like your last episode on friendships. It's like, oh yeah, my sister and I were talking to her about, like, Mom, you need to have friends, you need to have girlfriends, and here she is so stressed out.
Right.
Really, she needed more support, but we just didn't. We were going through our own things. So every angle has a perspective, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see all of those perspectives played out in a TV series.
Oh my gosh. I agree wholeheartedly. There's a guy on Instagram, and he's approaching people on the street and just asking them what they love about their partner, that their spouse that they're walking with, and how long have you been married. And I messaged him because he features older adults, which I love. And
Oh,
I
cool.
think it's so fun. It's so fun to hear these people just compliment each other and love on each other. And I think for both of us, dignity is so important. And really, we need to shift our thought processes around how we're aging and just getting older and aging. And I think that this show that you're creating and producing is going to be such a beautiful way to do that, because it's going to highlight, literally, I mean, as brass as I can say it, old people are just us in 20 or 30 years.
I know, right?
Just us.
Yes, I love that. And my director and co-executive producer, Bill Cooper, he has begun this mantra, which I love. He's like, this show, we're going to call ourselves like the anti-agers, because we are so bombarded with anti-aging messaging. And yet this should be a time of celebration, regardless of our physical limitations, our mental status limitation. This is a time in so many other cultures that is celebrated and just embraced. And even in the industry, how the language, the terminology has shifted, and there's a lot of controversy with that, as far as, do you call people seniors or older adults or elders? And you go out on the street, and my experience, at least personally, was when I refer to seniors as older adults, I would get pushback saying, don't call me old. don't call me old.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yet the industry is shifting towards, the senior living industry is, we refer to people as older adults, not to seniors. So I agree with you wholeheartedly that I don't think it's the language that needs to change. I think it's our culture that needs to
Yes.
change. It's the environment that we are putting ourselves in that is saying aging is bad and we should avoid it at all costs. We should definitely not talk about it. Why? I mean, to me, if you have the blessing of living out, we're living longer. So that means
That's right.
we are either going to have mental, cognitive issues or physical something. We're all going to die of something, you know, and
Yeah.
nobody, it's like that's so blunt and straightforward. And when I say that, people, oh, but it's true. Why
Right.
can't we
Nobody
just
gets out
speak?
alive.
Right. Why can't we? Exactly. Why can't we just be truthful and
Right.
real and talk to each other? Similar to what happened, I don't know, the shift 10 to 15 years ago on mental health. We
Yes.
couldn't say, you could depression, or you couldn't, we had to tiptoe around that subject. And I think that here in America, we've done a really good job
Mhm.
about destigmatizing mental health. And so Michelle, I think you and I, like, if we just get on this bandwagon of we're
Yeah.
done anti-aging, we're embracing aging, and we are going to do what we can right now to set up our parents and grandparents, and hopefully get the system set up so that when we're at that age, we have a something in place that we're proud of, because there's
Yeah.
no question. I mean, even in AARP's bulletin I was reading this week, the system's broken for caregivers. The system's broken. And even if, I mean, on so many levels, even if every person who was aging who couldn't safely live at home could move into, could afford, if there were no other issues at stake, but to move into an assisted living, say, we don't have enough staff to take care of everybody that's going to be aging and moving into. So we've got to address these issues now so that we can start to turn this around. And I think if we do, I think that we can change the culture.
100%. You have hit on every one of my favorite subjects to talk about. I actually just did a presentation in independent living yesterday, and we talked about, I shared that the anti-aging marketing industry by 2030 will be a $400 billion industry, and it's targeted to people 25 to 35. And they stop advertising to us. Like the smallest amount of marketing is spent on people aged 49 and up. And I'm 51.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And if you really think about it, people start, I joke that we start complaining about getting older as soon as we're told we can't go trick-or-treating.
Oh, that's true. Oh my gosh, that's so true.
But
Yeah.
people, like, I have people do this whole thing where we raise our hands and we just put it all on the table. People start complaining about getting older when they're 20. And
Mm-hmm.
so if we're living to 100, that is 8 decades
Yeah.
of complaining about something that is, God willing, inevitable.
Right. That's a lot of Botox.
That's so much Botox. That's so much
Yeah.
bandwidth in our
Yes.
head.
Yes.
Takes so
Yes.
much energy. So I
So
keep
much.
thinking about the assisted living for, and I don't know how old you are, when we're there, like the music that they're going to be playing, it's going to be apple bottom jeans, boots with
You
the
with
fur.
the fur. Yeah, exactly.
Setting
And
ourselves
we'll
up for
we'll
success.
Madonna and do the Go-Go's and
Absolutely.
yeah. No, I'm 53, so I'm right there with you as
Yeah.
far as just and do you find yourself to I might be a little overboard with my kids as far as trying to get them on board with my plans and when my plans change and what I think and what I discover. Mom, you're only in your 50s. You don't have to talk about this. Well, actually, I'm trying to practice what I preach. I'm trying to
Yes.
start talking about it now so that it's normal for them. So that
Right.
it's
Walk the
normal for
talk.
them. Yeah.
Walk the talk. I actually said to so here's a little secret I'm going to share with you and the thousands of people that will hear this. I have night terrors. And I had one on Monday. And I said to my husband this morning, oh my God, I'm going to be really hard to place. Like nobody's going to want me because they're going to be like, she's so sweet. Like we love her so much. Except for
Yes.
there's this one thing. She has
Yeah.
night terrors. And so she like blood curdling, screaming night
Oh
terrors. And I've
no.
had them since I was little. I've been to 14 therapists, hypnotists. I even did a ketamine treatment. Like I have just
Wow.
done
Okay.
all the things. And it's just how my brain processes. My stepmother's a psychologist. She said it's just how
Mhm.
you release. I mean, I'm a pretty happy person,
Yeah.
all things being equal, but I have night terrors. So I'm going to be hard to place. But yes, to your point,
Yeah.
I'm 51. I'm thinking about that now.
Yes. That's so funny because well, and of course, having my grandmother and then my father with Alzheimer's dementia, and what happened with my father was his general personality was a lot more demonstrative and authoritarian and bold, I would say, in his adult life. And then he got Alzheimer's and he became the sweetest, tender. Oh my gosh, he was just such a teddy bear. It was actually hard to it's weird to say, oh my gosh, I loved that time. I had the best quality time with my dad when
Yeah.
he got Alzheimer's dementia because he was just there. He was there in a different way for me.
Yeah.
But I fear the opposite because I've seen these sweet little old ladies, and their kids will come in. Oh, yeah, my mom played the organ for church in the Lutheran church for 20, 30 years, and she'll come in and be cursing and, really
Yeah.
mean. And like, oh, please, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that
Yeah.
lady.
And
So I
man,
can
we
relate to
don't,
you. And we don't get to choose. We don't get to choose
no.
that. It's what our brains do. And the beautiful thing too is that's where I I really I really want to shed a light on the beautiful people. I mean, the people that are working so hard, giving so much of themselves and touching, feeling, that touch and the everyday care givers of seniors in these communities and home care. I mean, oh my goodness, there's just not enough money in the world we could pay them. I mean, I just feel like they are just not paid enough for what they do and how important that job is. But to have people that are willing and that have that gift. There are
Right.
just some people that have that gift of
Yes.
um, redirecting someone with dementia who's very angry or won't get dressed or won't get in the shower, and then they just seem to have this incredible gift of redirecting and getting Mrs. Jones on board or Mr. Whoever, um, into compliance with something that they need to do for their own health and well-being. That is really something that I want to highlight because that's something that the general public just doesn't get to see on a daily basis. And I've seen it over and over again. And I I really appreciate the staff and the people, home caregivers that are willing to and have that skill and the patience it takes, to repeat yourself or just even someone with physical limitations. There are just so many good things that we can look at and highlight and hopefully really um, bring this bring this kind of isolation that people
Mm-hmm.
feel when they're caregiving to a level of understanding that you're not alone.
Right.
That was one thing that triggered the thought for this show. Was I was so surprised in my work in the last few years how many people would call, oh my gosh, my mom's in the hospital, they're sending her rehab, they told us she can't come home. And that voice, and then talking on the phone with someone for 45 minutes to an hour, just listening to what
Mm-hmm.
they're going through. And it just feels like everyone feels like they're alone in that moment,
Right.
that they're the only one, or they're the first person going through this. And so maybe just maybe, by having a show that will lead um, people to other resources like your podcast. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
really hope that we can take all the really good resources that are out there, that are existing right now, but people don't know what to even Google to find your podcast
Right.
because they don't know what they don't know. So um, I just really want to bring hope to people, hope and resources, and change the trajectory of how we're doing this. Because again, I don't think anybody's saying that we're doing it great. We're not. There's always room for improvement, but
Absolutely. I mean, working in a rehab, a nursing home for 5 years, and just watching the merry-go-round of how people, the shape that people were coming into the rehab piece of the building, and really getting curious about why is this happening as we're aging, and then knowing that we have better outcomes if we have certain pieces, parts in place. Our mindset absolutely impacts the outcomes that we have as we're aging. I love that you are going to highlight the people that work in these communities, because I think that people no longer have the misconception and back in the day in the 1940s, it was a disaster, and we have met the demand of requirements and needs and regulations, and that's a good thing. People that work in these buildings want to be there. I
yeah,
remember when my daughter started kindergarten, the kindergarten teacher started crying at the back to school night. And she said, I just want you to know that teaching kindergarten is not a punishment for me. I actually want to be here. And I just think it's really important for people to know that the people that work in senior living, if they leave one building, they're going to resurface in another building, because
yeah,
their heart is for seniors, and their heart and mission is to serve seniors and their families. So,
yes,
and the difference, I would take pictures of people when, the picture that we take when they come from the hospital to put in their chart.
yes.
Okay, so we had an anniversary celebration, and I was taking headshots of people and comparing how people were, even 3 months after being in senior living, to where they were when they first came to the building, because of the love and adoration of the staff and how they were being cared for. I mean, it would be night and day. People looked like completely different people from when they first came in from the hospital to just even 3 months after they had been in this environment. And
That's so cool.
oh, God, it was just so beautiful. And then, because I love dignity and think it's valuable, we uploaded the headshots into the chart, because when you're a brand new team member onboarding, sometimes you're going to be going through the chart before you walk in the room. What do we
Yes.
want people to see first? We want to see someone looking in their best self. So anyway,
I love that. I just know I love that. And it's true. It's true. You bring up great points, like the history of assisted living, of senior living.
mhm.
It's a new concept. And how many times when you were working in communities would you hear, I told my kids I don't want to move to a nursing home. The kids are trying to put me in a nursing home. It's like this, there are nursing homes, there's skilled nursing.
Mhm.
But even the skilled nursing is different than
Yeah,
what someone in their 80s remembers skilled nursing being 30 years ago. So that's surprising to me, that people
Mhm.
still don't understand that senior living is not a nursing home. Um, so let's start there.
Right.
But then you're right about, it seemed to me that some of the most resistant people, just stubborn, resistant, I'm not going to move, my kids are making, just, oh,
Mm.
they were so angry and upset about moving. And for whatever reason, they, ended up still moving in. Literally, I would say 9 out of 10,
Mhm.
every single time. Wait, like, oh my gosh, within 2 weeks to a month, I should have done this sooner. I
Mm.
never thought I was going to like it here. I never thought I was going to, you fill in the blanks.
Right.
So it, that's the really exciting part of working in a community. And, how do we share those stories with the general public without
Right.
breaking HIPAA rules, right? So
Right. Yeah. And I think what you're creating is actually such a beautiful time capsule for the family, because what a unique experience. I don't know what your application process is to be one of those 8 families. I think this is such an incredible gift you can give to yourself to participate in your show, because no one else will have anything like this. And it will be such a beautiful, magical thing for your family to have when, I mean, our loved ones are going to die, they're going to pass away. And to have a reflection of what you all went through together, and the triumph and the victory, and the acceptance and grace that comes, gosh, to have that documented is a really special gift.
I that's so cool. I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. It is really um, a precious gift. I
Yeah.
wish that I could have documented my journey with my dad, because the first thing I did when he was diagnosed is I said, "All right, Dad, where in the world do you want to go? Anywhere in the world. We're going. Let's go."
Mm.
So, and I was able to take him on a trip, and he said, "I just want to go see my great grandchildren. I just want to go see my great grandchildren." So I took him on a flight and rented him a Trans Am, and we had this like dream trip together. It was fabulous. But
Oh,
the videos I have of him, and even I have in my memos a voicemail message that I saved, "Hi Melissa, this is Dad," just to have that is such a treasure for me.
yeah.
So you're right. This will be a fabulous gift of memorial for your loved one and for this family, and to watch and to show future generations, like, this is how we did it together. This is how we did it together. So to answer your question, anyone who's interested, we are filming the first season exclusively in Minnesota. So we are looking for Minnesota families this season.
Mm.
They need to go to our website, which is insideseniorliving.tv. And on our website, we have a tab that's family applications. And we actually have a couple videos of interviews, a couple families that we've followed. So you can see a little bit, you can get a little feel for how it looks.
Mhm.
Um, and we are offering a $2,000 stipend for
Mm.
each family, just as a thank you. For, we understand this is going to be, there are going to be times when, it's not going to be convenient,
Right.
but so it's hopefully a little something to show our appreciation for their effort and time and willingness to be vulnerable for us. And then our goal for the consecutive seasons will be to film each new season in a different geographic location.
Mm.
So we haven't determined where season 2 or 3 will be yet, but send us messages and let us know where you'd like the next seasons to be. And we are, I'm sure early 2024 we'll be looking into that. So we're very excited.
Well, I think this is the kind of reality show that people will really be drawn to, because it is real. It is not, it won't be scripted. These aren't actors. These are real families, and you're really capturing the experiences they're having. I'm not even, it's not even the shameless plug. I don't know. Omaha. I'm just going to put it out there. I would love to have you in Omaha. I have the best connections for people that can help be part of the team. I think Omaha has a very strong senior living um, community and atmosphere, and the networking that we do here in order to set people up for success is really strong. So there it is. I put it on the table. We'd love
Okay.
to have you.
Well, Michelle, it could be Providence because my father was born in Omaha. So
Oh, see,
it could be a nice nod to my dad. So
that
absolutely.
is wonderful. And if there's just anything that I can do to support you and your efforts, and if you're working with a family and they're just really struggling, it would be a privilege to meet them and help them in any way that I can.
Thank you. I definitely will take you up on that offer because I do not, although, just my position as being the host and the creator of this show kind of positions me as an expert.
Mm,
I do not see myself as, I'm by no means the senior living expert, but I'm a great networker. And it's like, if I don't know someone who can help, I'm going to find you the right person to help. And so, Michelle, I will definitely be giving you a call um, because I just know, you and I know, there's going to be situations that families just need extra support.
yeah.
And I really, really appreciate that. And I love seeing, it's just so nice having Zoom instead of just a phone call because I can just see in your body language, in your eyes, how much you really care, how deeply this topic means, how deeply this is ingrained in you. Like, this
Yeah.
is your life's mission. This is what you were set on earth to do. And I feel the same way. I feel like this, just having the blessing of getting into this industry, you know, by a really kind of strange way, um, was I knew right away, this is
Yeah.
what I'm going to do for the rest of my career. I Okay, change of plans, and I haven't looked back because it's super, I think anyone who works in this industry that's honest, like, oh, and how many times, I mean, so many times you're just like, I can't do this anymore, especially if you're a very empathetic person, which
Right.
I can tell you are. I feel, I truly, I mean, I would come home and my husband would say, you gotta stop, you gotta stop this when you walk through the door. And be like, but I am in so much pain. I mean, I really am feeling the pain that this family is going through
Yeah.
because it's not easy. So the show isn't going, it's not like things are wrapped up in a nice little bow at the end of every episode. We don't know how things play out. Um, but we're going to pursue and show the pursuit and show how many people are here, like you, Michelle.
Mm.
Um, so many people in this industry who are here to help, who are here to support. And it does stink when you're going through it, and you're especially if you're in a crisis, but we got you. We
Yeah.
got you. And I'm confident. It gives me hope that I know, when the time comes for me or my children, with me, they're going to be okay. They're going to be in good hands. So that's the best we can do.
It's the best that we can do. And it's what people need is innovation like your show to help us go into this next layer, this next level of being family caregivers, and like you said, just having exposure to what other people are experiencing and going through. It'll light someone up inside. I'm just envisioning how many people you're helping through this show who will say, "Oh my gosh, this is our family."
Right. Yeah.
This is us.
Yeah.
We're having such a similar experience, and um, just what a beautiful thing. I remember
a year ago, my husband and I, was like July, and we're sitting at the fire pit, and I said, I have this fire in my belly because people are suffering. And I'm bawling. It's like Sunday morning, we're having coffee, the sun is rising. He's like, oh my gosh.
I
He said,
yeah,
well, we're
here
like
she
in the
goes.
thick of it. Yeah. And we're suffering, and it's unnecessary suffering. Like, the resources are out there, and so I love that you're highlighting ways for people to get connected to those resources and the help that they need.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. As a matter of fact, so we were talking to a resource up in Duluth Aging Support in Minnesota, and she said, I just ran across a person who is struggling, having a really hard time. And she said, and I mentioned the Alzheimer's Association, and this person did not know about the Alzheimer's Association and the reason, and so we're all like, oh my gosh, how can that be? Well, yeah, I mean, it's possible. So, because why would you unless you knew about it?
Right.
So I think that's key. The more technology we have, the more mediums we can put this message out, the better. And another thing, like with television, the internet is great and websites are great, but there are still areas in the United States that are so rural where they really don't get internet very well and on a consistent basis, and or people financially it's still a financial barrier, and so the only access they have to media is through public television.
Right.
And so again, it really warms my heart. It really makes me just so thankful. I am just so thankful that for some reason God gave me this idea, and and each step of the way, like each step of the journey has been, I talk to people, and everyone except two people that I've talked to has literally said, oh my gosh, I know what you're talking. Oh my gosh, this is so timely because and then they go into their story or their parents' story, or everyone knows someone or is going through this themselves.
Right.
It's crazy. So the time is right. And I really do consider this a sacred trust, to be the one carrying this message. And I just, prayers and whatever are really appreciated because I want to do it well. I want to do it right. And I want to be honoring to my elder generation, and to those who have gone before us, our loved ones, right? And say, this is, I've lived out my purpose. So, and I want to tell those stories of so many people. That's a whole nother, talk about tangents. Another piece of the show is showcasing the lives of these people who, we just don't tap into the expertise and the experience and the wisdom of our seniors. We just don't. And oh my goodness, what we're missing out on as a culture.
I mean, they are literally our walking, living, breathing libraries and encyclopedias.
Yeah. And wise, like free therapists.
Yes. Right. Because they have literally been through, seen, and done. And well, I know these families are in good hands, and that your heart and intentions and mission are just so evident and strong and pure. And the right people are going to find you. And I'm also grateful to PBS North for picking up the show and sharing it with everyone so that people can have a little insight into the experiences. Even if someone isn't on this journey, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming for you. So, and there is a way to do it with dignity and grace and compassion, and getting through it together.
That's right. That's right. You're not alone. You're not alone.
You are not alone. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. Any parting words for our families out there?
Well, I just want to say, hang in there, And certainly, and even if you aren't ready you don't think you're ready to be on the show, please sign up for our newsletter or reach out. You can literally reach out to me directly by signing up on our website. Send me a message. I am always thrilled, happy to help lead you in the direction of resources. That is something that will be coming next year, is a very robust resource website where we can have your podcasts and all the other, great resources on there to lead people to. But I just don't want anyone to feel like they're alone. You've got Michelle, you've got Melissa. Reach out. We're here to help and spread the word. Please do follow us on social media. All of those things will really help make this message. That's the only way we're going to change.
Right. The only way we're going to change is to change. So let's
start. Let's start. We don't have to lose 20 pounds. Let's start with one,
Right. Just set down that first candy bar and then we'll go from there. Yeah. Just start.
Or have the first candy bar, just don't have the second one. Right.
Right. So on social media, are you at Inside Senior Living? Is that where people find you?
Yes. Inside Senior Living. YouTube is ISL plus PLUS.
Great.
But if you go to our website, all the links are there. And we certainly would love to have you follow us and love your feedback. If you have ideas, send us ideas and thoughts for the show. We're happy. We're happy to incorporate anything at this point. So we appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here.
You bet. Take care, Michelle.
You too.
What I know for sure is that things are going fine until they're not. Everyone wants to stay in their home for as long as possible. And then there's a fall or a hospital stay or clear signs of dementia or a diagnosis, and remaining at home becomes questionable or potentially impossible. It is super important that you are informed about what assisted living and nursing home care can offer and understand how to choose the one that will best fit the needs of your family. I know from personal and professional experience what objections are going to come up and how to navigate those conversations. You love your family member and you are doing a great job. It just feels like the situation is fragile. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop and you don't know what you don't know. Illuminating Senior Living answers all of your questions and walks you through step by step each common objection and frequently asked question. This course will save you so much time and heartache. Imagine knowing exactly when it's time to move and ensuring the care and safety of your family member. Imagine knowing what specifically to be looking for in a care community and how to have the conversations about moving. Illuminating Senior Living gives you the roadmap so you're prepared. Click the link in the show notes, Illuminating Senior Living, to secure your video course today.